From the ledges to Cutter's Cove, it is 6 minutes. And so, Hastings, we come to the third act of my story. You have spread your investigations beyond the island to the town of Leathercombe Bay. This is most excellent. You have met the rest of our cast and seen how a favor performed can earn a favor in return. Even now I suspect certain suggestions present themselves to you.
It's obvious there was more than one mystery on Seadrift Island. In fact, almost everyone seemed to have something to hide.
Précisément. Keep that in mind. Few cases are so neat and tidy as to have only one person up to no good. You must first dispose of the red herrings before the fox he can be treed.
What next, Poirot?
Night has fallen on Seadrift Island, and with it the fog has crept in from the sea. And this is the night the ghost of Tom Cutter is said to walk. Remember the other 2 vignettes I shared with you as well. A murder of a girl. A ritual. As before, if you find yourself unable to progress, I will assist with the magic of the Finger of Suspicion.
Ah, yes. Time now for a third clue to its secret.
The third clue? It is desk.
Power? Lamp? The lamp on the desk, of course! The Finger of Suspicion must be powered somehow by the desk lamp.
Hastings, answer the door like a good fellow.
What the hell is going on?
I have spoken to Madame Marshall.
Yes, I understand she gave you the third note. She told me.
I will begin a search for the typewriter on which the notes were written.
There can't be many typewriters on the island.
One that has been stolen from Mademoiselle Darnley.
The devil you say!
And yours?
But see here, something very precious to me has been stolen.
Indeed? And what has been stolen?
A photograph of Arlena, the only one I carry with me. It was taken sometime this afternoon from my room.
The door to your room was unlocked or forced?
It was locked. But hang it all, the balcony door was not. Poirot, that photograph means a great deal to me. You must find it.
You see how I was plagued at every turn, Hastings? With the investigations I would under ordinary circumstances reject out of hand? Yet on Seadrift Island everything, even the smallest bother, was connected, and therefore could not be ignored. I will see what I can do, Captain Marshall.
This holiday is a nightmare.
I fear the nightmare it only begins. The door, it is locked tight.
I think this room belongs to Major Barry.
Bravo, Hastings. You have solved one crime at least.
Here now, what do you think you're doing?
Retrieving some stolen property.
What? What do you mean?
This afternoon we see you are spying upon Madame Marshall. Her photograph goes missing. Your expressed admiration for beautiful women is more of an obsession with Helena Marshall, is it not?
How dare you?
Blast her if you will. The proof was beneath your pillow.
What do you intend to do now?
I will let Captain Marshall decide what is to be done with you.
Marshall has a reputation for hard dealing in the city.
Monsieur Bagby has their dog, Baskerville?
The Great Dane? Yes, I've seen him snoring on the hearth in the monk's hood.
Do you think you could train him?
Oh, I expect so. To do what?
There is a cat in the Leathercombe post office. That will do quite well. The door is locked, but I can hear the voices from within. Perhaps we should listen a bit closer, Hastings. The good detective knows.
Je vous ai battu. Je vous casse, je vous maudis. Je vous ai battu, je vous casse, je vous maudis. Je vous ai battu, je vous casse, je vous maudis.
Sounds like Miss Marshall is doing her French lessons.
If that is true, Hastings, they are the most unusual French lessons. She says, I beat you, I break you, I curse you.
I say that's a bit rum.
The door is locked, but I can hear the voices from within. Perhaps we should listen a bit closer, Hastings.
It's why we came here. Our hopes and dreams. Our future. Gone. Why do you keep telling me to leave it?
I know you, Oakley, darling. I know your temper.
There must be some justice in this world.
There is, darling. In the end, justice will win out.
This is certainly significant. This is... The sample does not match the note.
Hello, Mr. Poirot.
Monsieur Redfern, may I join you?
If you like.
I think that you enjoy life.
Indeed I do. And why not?
Why not indeed? I make you my felicitation on the fact.
Well, thanks.
May I offer you the piece of advice?
Please.
A very wise friend of mine in the police force said to me years ago, Hercule, my friend, if you would know tranquility, avoid women.
I'm afraid it's a bit late for that. I'm married, you know.
Your wife, she is a very charming woman. Very accomplished. She is, I think, very fond of you also.
I'm very fond of her.
I am delighted to hear it.
Look here, Monsieur Poirot. What are you getting at?
Les femmes? I know something of them.
Do you?
One can be a pleasure. More than that, are capable of complicating life. And the English, oh, they conduct their affairs so... Oh, they baffle Poirot. Monsieur Redfern, I stated to you plainly. If it was necessary for you to come here, why in the name of heaven did you bring your wife?
I don't know what you mean.
You know perfectly. I am not so foolish as to argue with an infatuated man. I utter only the word of caution.
You've been listening to these damned scandalmongers. Nothing to do but make up lies all day. Just because a woman's good-looking, they're down on her like harpies. It's pure jealousy, nothing more.
Are you really as young as all that?
I see. You were trying to defuse the situation before it explodes.
Exact, Hastings. I could see the current circling around Elena Marshall. Not knowing from what direction the danger would come, or whom it would be directed toward, it was all I could do.
RD, I say, Poirot. I'll wager this is Miss Darnley's typewriter.
Beyond a doubt, you are correct. After we test it against the notes, we will return it to her. Oh, that does not make sense. The sample does not match the note.
Mr. Poirot, you dear, dear man. We've confessed all to one another. We're both pledged never to forget an anniversary, haven't we, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
And we'd like to thank you for your efforts on behalf of our anniversary, isn't that right, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
I love my knitting book.
And I'm equally delighted with my coin, more than you can know.
You chose Seadrift Island to hunt for the treasure, did you not?
I confess, I wanted to keep the search low-key, but you deserve the truth.
Is that coin then a part of the treasure, do you think?
You did find it on the island, then? Didn't I tell you so, Carrie?
Yes, darling, you did.
What can you tell me about the coin?
A 1689 gold guinea, in fine condition. The period is right. Very well could be part of the treasure. Have you found it?
Unfortunately, no. That coin only.
But we're going to find it.
I'm convinced the island summit is the starting point. Where do you go from there? If Carter left a clue, it's bound to be somewhere in the smuggler's end.
I thank you again for the shawl most marvelous.
I'm so pleased you like it. May you get good use from it.
He already has.
I will not interrupt your celebration further. Hastings, allow them to enjoy their anniversary in peace.
Of course, old man. Sorry.
Good evening, Madame Redfern.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Poirot.
Is there anything I can do?
No. No, there is not. Do you know what I'm most sick of in this place? Pity. Do you think I can't see? All the time people are saying, poor Mrs. Redfern, that poor little woman. I'm not little. I'm tall. They say little because they're sorry for me, and I can't bear it.
Madame, the Elena Marshals of this world do not count.
Nonsense.
I assure you it is true. The Dominion is of the moment and for the moment. To count, really and truly to matter, a woman must have goodness or brains. The Elena Marshals are the ones to be pitied. Your husband loves you, madame. I know it.
You can't know it.
Yes, yes, I know it. I have seen him looking at you.
I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
Patience, only patience is required. I have obtained for you another sketch pad.
That's very kind of you.
It is a small thing, madame, I realize.
No, really, Monsieur Poirot. It is very thoughtful. It's all right. I'm better now. You are a very kind man, Monsieur Poirot. Thank you.
Good heavens, Poirot. It's the ghost of Tom Cutter.
Steady, my friend. We must keep our wits about us. We must follow. Hastings, downstairs, to the cellar.
Vanished into thin air. Wet foot. Wet footprints in the dirt floor of the cellar.
filthy night, eh, Poirot?
It is that. Oui, Captain Marshall.
Any luck finding our Lena's photograph?
I have recovered their photograph.
You're a bloody marvel, I'll give you that. Who had it? Where was it?
That will do for now, monsieur. An overzealous admirer of Mrs. Marshall took it.
Stolen by the writer of those damned threatening notes.
You may rest assured that is not the case. It was a lapse in judgment, to be sure, but no harm was intended.
Very well. I'll accept your request, even if I don't quite understand it. If there's anything I can do in return...
It is kind of you to offer, and indeed there may be something.
Name it.
Here is your chance, Hastings. Use their little gray cells. What do your deductions suggest to you would be the question most important? Your daughter had some difficulty at school, I believe?
What if she did? What has it got to do with you?
Was the school Mrs. Porter's school for the young ladies?
Yes, if you must know. But I fail to see what that could possibly have to do with anything. Thank you for the photograph. If you'll excuse me.
Well done, Hastings. A deduction worthy of Poirot. Very well, Hastings. If you insist, we shall listen for a moment.
I'm crazy about you, crazy. You drive me mad. You do care a little. Do you care?
Oh, of course, Patrick, darling. I adore you. You know that. Let me show you how much.
And we have listened quite enough, Hastings.
Someone's been careless leaving a perfectly good shovel lying about.
Ah, Mr. Poirot.
Miss Brewster? An unusual place to find the ballet teacher?
Not entirely. My past seems to still be haunting me.
The girl you mentioned who died?
Yes, Mr. Poirot, I need your help.
If it is in my power.
She was a student of mine in Brixham. A number of students from a nearby girls' school would come to us for ballet instruction. Millie Parsons was one of those. Returning to the school from a ballet class, she was attacked and strangled to death. I want you to find her killer.
What a coincidence, Poirot. No sooner do we begin to look into the Parsons girl's murder when we are asked to do just that.
Coincidence, Hastings? Poirot does not trust such coincidences. Do you know the significance of the pole and the circle?
I think perhaps. Do you?
I have my suspicions, mademoiselle.
You do?
The chicken feathers stained with blood, Hastings? You speak of the voodoo, do you not?
My God, I hoped I was wrong. How can it be here?
Millie Parsons was the girl who died several months ago?
Yes, in May. The police investigated. At one point, the rector of the church was suspected, but nothing was ever proved.
Do you recall the name of this man?
I don't think I ever knew it. I couldn't bring myself to follow the investigation. The details, it was just far too painful.
What was the name of the school where Millie Parsons was a student?
Miss Porter's school for young ladies. It was on the other side of a small wood, less than half a mile away from our ballet academy.
Where have you encountered voodoo before?
Understand I don't believe in it, but at the girls' school Millie Parsons attended, there was a math instructor named Gideon Fell. He left the school under some sort of cloud a few weeks after Millie died, and with only days left in the term. It had something to do with voodoo.
He was a practitioner?
I know no more than that, I'm afraid.
Do you believe in the power of voodoo, Mademoiselle Brewster?
Me? No, of course not. Superstitious nonsense. But if one does believe in something like that, well, it can come to have an enormous power over one. Don't you agree?
Certainement.
I should be getting back. Please let me know if you learn anything about Millie.
I shall do so, mademoiselle. You have my word.
Poirot, how can you investigate a case that happened months ago and miles away from here?
Colonel Weston will be able to request the files.
Voodoo in South Devon? A rum business.
As you say. A new day, Hastings, August 25th, the day that murder came to Seadrift Island. What have we learned? Much of the mystery seems to swirl around Mrs. Marshall, or Elena Stewart as her fans call her. You agree?
Yes, that seems clear.
And two mysteries are solved. The photograph is found beneath Major Barry's pillow. The typewriter of the most charming Mademoiselle Darnley is discovered beneath the bed of the Redferns. Christine Redfern has reason to send such notes, perhaps. Her husband's attentions to Mademoiselle Stewart are obvious to all. At last, there is the murder unsolved of Millie Parsons. Why does Mademoiselle Brewster ask Poirot to take it up? Several of the guests at the Smuggler's Rest Hotel appear to have in common Brixham, the place where she died. Mademoiselle Brewster, Stephen Lane, the former vicar, even Mademoiselle Linda Marshall, who it now appears was a student at Millie's school.
Yes, Miss Porter's school for young ladies. What happened there?
Voodoo rituals? An anthropology teacher awakens in fear to the pounding of the pagan drums?
Voodoo? Nonsense, if you ask me.
Perhaps. But as Miss Darnley said, not nonsense to those who believe. And do not forget Tom Cutter's ghost. We saw.
I admit that gave me a turn. But ghosts? Voodoo? Poirot, even for you, this case has elements of the sensational. No sensible person could credit.
Perhaps. But I will give you the very important clue. Think on the nature of Elena Stewart. Watch as the investigation proceeds, Hastings. Until we can understand fully and completely exactly the kind of person Elena Stewart was, we shall not be able to see clearly the kind of person who took her life. As before, if you find yourself unable to progress, I will assist with the magic of the Finger of Suspicion.
Ah, yes. Time now for a fourth clue to its secret.
The clue is drawer.
Power, lamp, desk, drawer. Do I search the drawer for a switch, perhaps? Or is it something more subtle?
I say no more. When you are ready, my friend, we will return to Seadrift Island. It is a morning of sunshine, warm breezes, and a murder most foul.
Mind giving the Finger of Suspicion a spin?
It will be my pleasure. Place the card in it, please. Heed our call. Provide us with the knowledge which we, and by we I refer to Hastings, cannot acquire by our own resourcefulness. Voila! The finger of suspicion has pointed their way.
Morning, Monsieur Poirot. Any more thoughts about what we found in the ruins?
Poirot always has their thoughts, Monsieur Lane. Who can tell which will prove to be most significant? What are your plans for this morning?
I've heard there's a fine church in these parts, St. Patrick in the Coombe. I'm going to try and track it down.
What illness forced you to leave your position?
It was... I confess it was nerves, Monsieur Poirot.
I did not mean to intrude.
No, it's quite all right. No sense in my hiding the fact. Women, they are so often at the source of evil.
Do you think so?
Man alive, don't you feel it in the air? All around you. We spoke of it yesterday at the ruins. The presence of evil.
Oui, Monsieur Lane, I feel it. I am able to assist you in your search, I think.
Oh?
I found this pamphlet at the establishment of Mrs. Hughes in Leathercombe Bay.
Oh, this is marvelous. And there's a map and everything. Let's see, it'll make a fine hike over the moors, too. Thank you so much.
Monsieur Lane, I wonder if I may ask you the questions somewhat painful.
Your kind gift has lifted my spirits considerably. I will answer if I can.
Your church was near Brixham, I believe.
Oh, yes, I had a small living there. Why?
Are you familiar with Mrs. Potter's school for young ladies?
Why, oh, yes, Miss Potter herself and several of the girls attended my church. Not as many as I would have liked, but some.
Do you recall the Conservatoire de Dance near there?
Oh, yes, Miss Brewster, who is stopping here, was an instructor there.
Does the name Millie Parsons mean anything to you?
The murder. Yes, it caused quite a sensation. A teacher at Miss Porter's was accused. No charges were brought. Simply the ruin of a man's reputation. He may have been misguided, even driven. But the Parsons girl brought it upon herself. Of that I am convinced. And then, only a few weeks later, another murder. They must have been connected. And of that second crime, he was wholly innocent, I have no doubt. So what he said in a moment of weakness...
What did this teacher say to you?
I may no longer be of the cloth, Mr. Poirot, but I will keep the confidences learnt while I was still in God's service.
Even if it allows a murderer to go free?
Please! God must judge, not I.
Tell me of the second crime.
It received quite a bit of press at the time. Alice Corrigan was the name. Strangled, as was the Parsons girl. The husband was suspected, but again, no arrest was ever made. I'm convinced the two crimes were the work of one man.
And the motive?
Women are at the heart of many tragedies.
In this case, they were the victims of tragedy.
Can you doubt? They brought it upon themselves, through fornication, adultery, and godlessness.
It is my nature to doubt, Monsieur Lane.
Yes, of course. You're a detective. Still, I would think your experience would have paid witness to the truth of my words. I may have misunderstood and unburdened myself too freely. I must be off if I hope to reach the church and be back before it gets too late. Thank you again for the information.
Fellow is right round the bend, Poirot. He practically admitted he knew Millie Parsons' killer, yet did nothing because she was a girl, and somehow deserved it? That's monstrous.
It is true he appears to be quite selective when it comes to forgiveness and compassion. Yet it may very well be that decision to keep silent caused his breakdown. His pain runs deep, and the struggle, it continues. There may be hope for him still. Mademoiselle, if I may have a moment of your time?
I only have a few minutes, Monsieur Poirot. I'm meeting Mrs. Redfern at Sanctuary Cove at 10:30.
I will come straight to the point, mademoiselle. You were a student at Miss Porter's School for Young Ladies in Brixham, were you not?
I was. I'm not anymore, though.
Millie Parsons was a classmate of yours?
Yes.
A close friend?
Nah, not really. We knew her, my friends and I, to speak to. She seemed a harmless sort. Rather sweet, actually.
Why did you leave school?
Monsieur Poirot, I like you. But I'm not sure you have the right to ask me that question.
Did you know an instructor named Gideon Fell?
Yes, we had him for anthropology.
He was a poor teacher?
He was all right, I guess. I am very interested in anthropology. That helped, I suppose.
What most interested you in the class?
Superstition. Much of what we call superstition has a basis in fact. Religious practices and so on.
You did not like him?
At first, he seemed all right. He took several of us to the picture show to see a horror film called Curse of the Islands.
The film, it was frightening to you?
A bit, I suppose. But I found it quite interesting, actually. But then he started acting strangely towards some of the girls. He was creepy. Always making comments to girls when he thought no one could hear. Complimenting them on how they looked.
This interest, it was more than politeness?
A lot more.
Was he interested in Millie Parsons?
She told me he had followed her once in the woods. He grabbed her wrist. When she tried to break away, he said how much he liked her hair and her frock. She broke away and threatened to tell Miss Porter. She said he looked at her with his face all twisted up. It was horrible, she said.
Millie told Miss Porter of this incident?
No. One of the other girls had already complained, and she did nothing. She accused the girl of trying to make trouble for Mr. Fell because he gave her bad marks.
After Millie's death, you said nothing of Mr. Fell?
I did. The police looked into it. They said he had an alibi. But I knew. My friends and I knew. You don't believe me, do you?
Au contraire, I have known many alibis that seemed unbreakable, only to shatter as easily as glass when the right force was applied.
He did it, Monsieur Poirot. He killed Millie. I have to change into my swimming costume now. Will you excuse me?
Of course. Thank you for speaking with me.
I say, Poirot, do you think you can break this Fell character's alibi?
If I can, Hastings, Miss Brewster and the police will have their answer. It is quite...
I say, it's that North chap again.
What course of action do you suggest, Hastings?
Ask Mrs. Redfern to make a sketch of him.
An excellent idea, my friend. Then Colonel Weston can send a picture to Scotland Yard for identification.
Monsieur Poirot?
Good morning, Madame Marshall. I regret I have not yet found the writer of those notes.
I wouldn't worry myself if I were you. In fact, I'd like you to forget about them.
You have learned the identity of the author?
Yes. And if there's any further bother, I will deal with it myself. Is that clear?
That could be dangerous. An argument will not assist us, Hastings. Better to comply. I will do as you ask. That is a scent most charming that you wear.
Thank you. You're very kind. It's an expensive indulgence, especially for the beach. But I like it so.
You are going for the swim?
No, no. I wanted to use a float.
Use this one with my compliments.
You won't be using it?
No, I am certain of that.
Do something for me, will you?
Anything. Hastings, do not become smitten with this woman. She is charming, yes, but it will cloud your ability to investigate.
Sorry, Poirot. She's just so damned attractive.
Don't tell anyone where I am. Everyone will follow me about so. I just want for once to be alone.
She wants to be alone? I don't believe that for a minute.
Very good, Hastings. You read her character well. I concur. She is the rendezvous, I think. But with whom?
Morning, Poirot. Seen my wife anywhere about?
Has Madame risen so early?
Oh, she's not in her room. Lovely day. Think I'll have a bathe right away. Got a lot of typing to do this morning.
Morning, Marshal.
You look for Madame Redfern?
Christine is off sketching somewhere.
N20, E15, N19. Poirot, they could be a map. The number of paces north, east, then north again.
And the starting point?
Albert Bagby at the Monk's Hood Inn told you that Tom Carter would spend hours on the island summit. It was his favorite spot on the island. And we found Gardner poking about up there as well. I'll bet he's come to the same conclusion I have. This is a map to Tom Cutter's treasure.
Monsieur Poirot, thank you again for the sketch pad.
It is my pleasure, madame.
I intend to make good use of it today.
Madame, do you have the time to make this small sketch for Poirot?
Why? I'd be delighted to. It's the least I can do.
There is a man at the landing of the sea tractor. Do you think you could make the portrait of him?
I don't see why not. I've a little time before Linda will be ready.
And madame, if you could contrive to do so without his knowledge? What will you sketch today?
I'm meeting Linda at Sanctuary Cove at 10:30. While she swims, I will sketch her guillemots for her.
You are kind to take an interest in her.
She's having a rough time of it, I'm afraid.
I believe you are correct. A friend now will be of great help, I think.
Oh, I must say it's rather exciting having a detective on holiday.
Monsieur Poirot, any luck with finding my typewriter?
Oui, mademoiselle. This is it not?
Yes, indeed. Wherever did you find it?
I would rather not say at present.
You are being most mysterious.
It is my nature to be mysterious, I am afraid.
Well, I'm happy to have it back. Thank you. Please let me know if there is any way I can repay you.
I will. Where are you off to, may I ask?
The Ledgers to read my book. It's a rather good thriller by Graham Greene. Do you know his work?
Bien. He is an excellent writer.
Then I've a tennis date with Ken, Mr. Marshall, Mrs. Redfern and Mr. Gardner at 12. I'll just put this typewriter in my room, then I'm off.
Enjoy your day, mademoiselle.
And you, Monsieur Poirot. And thanks again.
Hello? Need the sea tractor, do you?
Yes, please?
On me way. Mr. Poirot, I wanted to thank you for helping clear up the misunderstanding between Gladys and me. How she could think I'd ever be interested in that schoolgirl is beyond me. I can't help it if some foolish child decides on her own to start hanging about the garage. I know it sounds silly, but I think she was only doing it because she wanted to pinch my shovel.
The village is practically abandoned.
Morning, Poirot.
Major, you are here already?
I've already worked with the dog. He'll do as I say. Are you ready?
Proceed, Major.
Stand at attention, Baskerville. Heel.
It's a miracle, that is.
Sit. Easy as anything to train a dog. You just know how to talk to them.
Your skill is extraordinary, Major. Now I will open the door. Command him to enter, and we will let nature take its course.
Ready when you are, Poirot. Enter Baskerville. Baskerville, enter the shop. He won't budge, Poirot. Can't say what the trouble is. Have you any way to lure him inside?
Hastings, you will need to find something to lure Baskerville into this shop.
Hello, Mr. Poirot. Not like you to look so out of sorts.
Mr. Bagby, where would you look for Tom Cutter's treasure?
If it's there, my guess would be Cutter's cave. But folk have tried for centuries to find that treasure with nothing to show for it. Foolish to try, if you ask me.
Good day to you, Monsieur Bagby.
If you'd like a game of darts, just ask.
Ugh. A corned beef sandwich, and well past its prime by the smell of it.
That is exactly as Poirot was thinking, Hastings.
Was that poor Baskerville again? You'd think he'd learn not to come round here anymore.
We have no need to send a telegram, Hastings. Voila, Madame Hughes. The case of the missing post is solved.
Why, do you mean to say my dear little Chloe knocked those letters back there by accident?
That your cat pushed them there to have the room for the catnap is fact. Whether it was an accident, it is not for Poirot to say.
Oh, Mr. Poirot, how can I ever thank you?
It is my pleasure to assist you, Madame. However, there is a kindness you can do Poirot in return.
What is it?
Choose wisely, Hastings. I could make good use of your testing equipment. Excellent, Hastings. You are sharpening the detective instincts.
I'm not sure. You are a detective.
Colonel Weston will vouch for me.
Ah, well then. Of course you can. I'm happy to be of service, I'm sure.
Merci, madame. You do that great service for Poirot. The tablets of Monsieur Lang are most certainly trying her.
Hello, Poirot. Enjoying your holidays?
I will let you be the judge of that, my friend. I have several things to discuss with you.
Carry on.
Mrs. Marshall has been receiving threatening messages.
The devil, you say? From whom?
That is yet unclear. I would like to compare them to the type on your machine.
You think I've been sending them?
I must try every possibility, my friend, however remote.
Be my guest.
There, you see, Hastings, the E, the M, and the H. This is the typewriter used to write the threatening notes beyond any doubt. There is no doubt. The notes were typed on this machine.
But that's impossible.
No one visits you here?
Well, of course. Many people do. In addition to my regular police duties, there's the home guard, the evacuation. Hang on.
You have thought of something?
I'd hate for it to be true. That girl at the hotel, she popped in with all sorts of questions about the evacuation. I think she wanted to be told the hotel was being closed. I expect the order any day now, by the way.
Was it Linda Marshall?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. Bit nasty, that. Writing threatening messages to her own stepmother.
Very nasty indeed. Especially since she apparently also stole Mademoiselle Darnley's typewriter and hid it in Christine Redfern's room to incriminate her. Well done, Hastings. I see the little grey cells are hard at work. Is Mrs. Castle a member of the Home Guard?
Yes, she volunteered, although she hasn't been of much use.
Why do you say that?
The sightings of U-boats don't match what my other watchers are reporting. I'm not sure she's truly watching at all.
I am afraid it is worse than that. She has a German radio, a code book, and a signal lantern in her safe.
Good God, a fifth columnist here in Leathercombe Bay. I'll have her arrested immediately.
Please do not as yet. If you watch her, she may lead you to her associates.
Ah, you're right. I'll have her followed if she leaves the island.
Excellent! What can you tell me of Alice Corrigan's murder case?
Nasty bit of work. Her husband had a motive, but an unbreakable alibi as well. Not my district, but I have some notes at my office.
Could you obtain for me the summary of the report?
I'll have it sent over from Kingsbridge this afternoon.
Did the report on the Millie Parsons case arrive?
Yes, here it is. I was in London through most of it, in Home Guard and evacuation meetings. I hope to have a look at it again once things quiet down. If they quiet down, that is.
Ah, merci. I will read as I make my notes. Hastings, look over these notes of the alibi of the teacher Gideon Fell. Tell me what you see.
Something about the film? Fell was alone there for 2 hours.
What is the most important fact concerning that film and Fell's alibi?
The title.
Curse of the Islands? And why is it significant?
Linda Marshall told us Fell took her and some friends to see it.
And this tells you?
He knew the story already.
And the theater ticket he had in his possession for the 12th of April?
He bought the ticket, but he never went in.
You have it, my friend. Well done. Colonel?
Yes?
The Millie Parsons affair. This alibi of the teacher, Gideon Fell. It does not hold the liquid.
Water, Poirot.
It does not hold its water.
Oh?
There are witnesses. Girls at their school that will tell you that Monsieur Fell took them to see Curse of the Islands before that night.
You don't say.
Fell, he leaves the restaurant at 7:40. He buys the ticket at the theater nearby, a matter of a few moments only. Then he walks to the corpse. He is there shortly before 15 minutes to 9, the time Millie Parsons' ballet class it is finished. He waits. The girl arrives. The murder, it is done. He walks back to the movie theater in time to see the end upon the screen.
By Joe, Poirot, you're astounding.
I had the information you lacked, my friend. That is all.
I need to write up a report on this at once.